Listeners, I am back. Some time back, I was here talking about killer attitude, and today I want to talk about knowing God, the attributes of God. Now, I am Dr. Arthur Magezi. I am the founder and executive director of a ministry known as Christ Tranformation Ministries. We plant churches all over Uganda. Our headquarters is in Kachiri, and feel free to visit us anytime. I have also written a book. I'm a consultant in Christian ministry, and I've written a book about spiritual warfare. It's entitled I Am a Soldier. Now let's go to knowing God. Knowing God. So I am starting with the attributes of God. That is, attributes, I mean the nature of God. What is God made of? Who is this God? What is he made of? So that's what I will be talking about. And I want to start with what is most applicable to our daily lives. And that is attribute number one: God is love. God is love. All of us in our daily lives, we want to be loved. Actually, we are products of love. God is love. Everywhere you are, whoever is listening to me, love is very important. We all need love. I need love, and I don't care whether you are full of hatred or what. Deep down in your heart, you need love. We are products of love. We all need love, and we need to give out love. But where do we get it from? God is love. Without God, there's no love. So I want to talk about love now. So being like God then is being loving. It's very simple. You know, some people ask me questions. How do I become holy? I want to be holy. I want to be like Jesus Christ. Let me tell you the starting point. Be loving. Be loving. The moment you are loving, you will never go wrong. Because God is love. Now let's go to the Bible and see. Let's look at 1 John chapter 4 verse 7. You know, 1 John chapter 4 verse 7 and verse 8. You will see that God is love. Now, I want to insist on verse 7 where it says, Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Now that is very crucial. Whoever has love is born of God and knows God. Now, when we talk about love, it's many of us, again, we think it's about giving out things and all that, and smiling and treat. You know that I can give you something, but I don't even love you. I'm giving it to you for my own benefit. Maybe I want you to like me because I have an ulterior motive behind. And so I want to go a little bit deeper. What we consider as love these days is many times not really love. But let's go deeper and see. In 1 Corinthians chapter 13 from verse 1, actually in my Bible it is entitled The Way of Love. Now let me emphasize a number of things here, and please go with me. I am now in 1 Corinthians 13 verse 1. Verse 1 says, If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am a noisy gong and a clanging cymbal. What does that mean to us as Christians? The point here is that the church is a place of love. We must first love God and then love people. The church is not about speaking in tongues. The church is not about singing nicely and all that. The church is a place of love. It's a place where love is in two directions. There is the vertical love, where we receive the love from God, and we also respond with love to God. But there is the horizontal love where we love people. We love people, friends, relatives, enemies, thieves, even witches and evil people. We love them. Why? Because God is love, and we love God. All these people whom we call evil, they are people of God. And they live, and they have property, and they breathe and eat like us. Even a witch has to breathe as he's doing his satanic stuff. He needs to breathe, and who gives him the oxygen? God. So God gives him life. God loves all people. God is love. So love is first vertical and then horizontal. So what does it mean then when we come to church? And again, let me remind us, our churches are really active and emotional these days, especially when they are full of youth and there's a lot of excitement, and people become so emotional and they speak in tongues and they fall down and all that. But the Bible is saying, if all that is done but there's no love, then you're just like an instrument. You're just like banging a bell. You are just nothing. So let's begin asking ourselves, when we go to church on Sunday, is there love? Let me speak to ministers of God. Do we love the people in our churches? Or do we see them? And there are some churches where it has become a business. We want so many people because we want them to bring things to us sometimes. And we are good to them because we expect something. These days, churches are moving away from the practice of love and doing the other things that excite people. Speaking in tongues is good, is biblical, but that's not very important. And that's what the Bible is saying. If you have no love, your tongues are useless. Let's move on and see 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 2. Let me read it to you. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but have no love, I am nothing. This is the Bible talking about. What do we have today? Most, exciting things. Prophecy. There is a prophetic word here. There's prophetic power. There is this and that. Let me prophesy over you. Yes, it's good you can prophesy over me. But if you don't love me, then you are nothing. So we need to begin thinking, am I getting love and giving love? Or am I looking for prophecies and giving prophecies? Then you are nothing. The gifts, the point here that the Bible is talking about is that the gifts that God gives to people are not a measure of holiness. You could be having a gift of prophecy. You could be having a gift of faith. You cast out demons and all that. But that's not a measure of holiness. You are not more like God because you cast out demons. No. The Bible says all those who believe can actually cast out demons. Holiness is measured. Let's understand this. Love is the only sure way to know those who are following God. Those who are like God must be loving. Love is a sure measure of holiness. It's not tongues, it's not miracles, it's not prophecies, it's not all that. Love is the measure because God is love. God is not prophecy. God is not tongues. Actually, Jesus never spoke in tongues. God is not all these things. God is love. Let's think about that. Are we becoming more like God? Let's measure it with how much we love. The Bible is clear. They will know we are Christians by our love. Not by the miracles and knowledge and the prophecies and tongues and emotions and all that. singing nicely and speaking with a humble voice. Oh, glory, hallelujah, praise Jesus. That's not holiness. Even hypocrites can do that. But love is practical. Love is practical. You find somebody hungry and give him a piece of cassava. That is very good from your heart. Yes, love is practical. Love sacrifices. Love does something. That's love. We shall see more about love. Let's read verse 3. 1 Corinthians 13:3 says, if I give away all I have, and if I deliver up my body to be burnt, but have no love, I gain nothing. I gain nothing. Now, let's think about that. Even when we are giving, these days giving is a big thing. Give, give, give. And it's not bad. Giving is good. Oh, bring a seed and you'll get this. Yes, but are you giving out of love for God? Or are we giving because we want to get? Is it a business? You are giving so that you can get, not giving because you love God and God's people are in need and you are blessed. No, you're giving possibly because you want to get more and more and get more proud and show off. Now, love, love is interesting. God operates differently. That's why in verse 3 it says, even if I give away all I have, and even if I deliver my body to be burnt, if I don't have love, I am nothing. I gain nothing. So God sees the heart. When we are giving, God sees the heart. Where your giving is coming from is what matters, not what you give. So giving comes from the heart. And out of the heart could come out 1,000 shillings. But the heart that has given, it is coming out of much love. Actually, that 1,000 is what was the only one remaining in the pocket. And God sees that heart. But you could be having 10 billion and you give away 10 million. And everybody claps and say that is a big giving. But actually, you had 10 billion, you gave 10 million so that you can have a name. And God looks at that heart and says, well, that wasn't love. So let's think about that. How are we practicing the attribute of love, the attribute of God? We want to be godly men and women. We can't be godly men and women by mouth, by speaking in tongues, by miracles and prophecies and all these. These are nothing. Now, from verse 4 to 8, the Bible is telling us about how love is. Now let me take you slowly. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4. It says, love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant. Now that's interesting. God sees when we are giving, he sees the heart. It's God who told Samuel that man sees on the outside, but I see the heart. I see God saw the heart of David and knew this man loves the things that are put in his care. He fought lions and fought those beasts in order to protect the animals that were under his care. He can protect a kingdom. He saw that heart of love. And that's why he became a king above all his bigger brothers who had big muscles and they looked wonderful. And sometimes we look at people and we think they're so loving, but actually in their hearts they are full of pride. They are showing off. They can even tune their voices to speak out of hypocrisy. And so let's look at that. Love is patient and kind. Now let's look at what is breaking families today. People lack patience. Husbands and wives are clashing and homes are breaking and children being left to suffer divorce. Why? People are not patient. They are not patient. You marry somebody, has a totally different background, you have a completely different background, and within 1 year you expect that person to change and be the person you wanted. Wait a minute. If a person has been like that for the last 30 years, why do you expect that person to change in 1 year? Be patient. Patient. Love is patient. Love is kind. When somebody is making mistakes and you love that person, you don't say, "You fool," and slap. No. You say, "Oh, sorry, my sister, sorry, my dear wife. This is how this thing is done." Because you realize that this person needs to learn. And you don't teach with harshness. Love is kind. You teach with kindness. Love is patient, love is kind. Without kindness, it's not teaching. It becomes something else. It becomes torture. It becomes harassment. Now, love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant. Oh my goodness. That is something we need to think. Love does not boast. Love does not have room for envy. We have even churches fighting one another. Servants of God speaking evil of each other. That is a lack of love. And that one will block the doors. That is not holiness. But let's look at verse 5. It says, "Love is not rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful." Now let me focus on insisting on its own way, because this is what is breaking our lives. In other words, love is soft-hearted, is not hard-hearted. And again, let me go to families. I teach marriage, I do marriage counseling, and I forgive me for keeping referring to marriages. Some people get married and they say, "I am a man, this is what I'll be, the woman I marry must be this," and you keep your own way. Now, it is saying, love does not insist on its own way. Love bends. Love is flexible. It's like clay. Love enables us to be teachable, faithful, and available. It makes us become like clay so that God, who is loving, can shape our hearts. Now, you find, for example, you come from a culture where they have said a man cannot cook, and you happen to marry a lady who doesn't know how to cook. So what are you going to do? She has everything you need in a woman, only that she never got a chance to learn how to cook. So what are you going to do? You stick on that and say, "If you can't cook, I'm chasing you away." Wait a minute. If you love that person, take them to a catering school. Yes. Or you yourself, if you know how to cook, teach her how to cook. Don't insist on your own way. Ladies, don't say, "This is my culture. I was taught to handle a man like that." Wait a minute. Every man is unique. Every woman is unique. Come ready to love that person and be flexible. Yeah, love does not keep its own way. Now, verse 6, it does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Now, the word truth here comes in, and it's very strong. Why? Because Jesus says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." And so Jesus is truth. When you talk about truth, rejoices in the truth, you are talking about Jesus Christ. Now, these days, lies have become very, very common. There are lies everywhere. There are lies even in church. Somebody will be going to church and you call him and maybe he's late, and he says, "Oh, I'm just at the gate of the church," when actually he's 5 kilometers away. It has become so normal that people just do that. But let us understand that Jesus is love. God is love. But also Jesus Christ, who came to teach us to demonstrate love, is truth. We will get to understand that later. It's another attribute. Now, let's go to verse 7. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Oh my goodness. In this world, there are many things that we must endure. We must bear. We must bear with. There is no perfection in this world. Actually, let me remind us, Jesus had to endure. He endured so much. He endured abuses. He endured betrayal. He endured so many things. Why? Because Jesus is God and God is love. So Jesus was demonstrating all these from verse 1 of 1 Corinthians chapter 13 up to verse 13. All these things were demonstrated by Jesus Christ. Practically. And he says, if you jump quickly, let me jump to verse 8. Love never fails. Oh my goodness. Love never fails. No matter what was given to Jesus, no matter the suffering, the king Herod wanted to kill him, he failed. But Jesus did not fail. Every attempt to kill Jesus failed until his time. Love never fails, and God is love, and Jesus accomplished it all. Nobody succeeded to move him into sin. Love never fails. But then this Jesus Christ, when they asked him, when will all these things happen? He says, oh, the Father, my Father knows all. He demonstrated 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 12, which says, for now we see in a mirror dimly, but then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, just as I am fully known. Now let me end with this, which is very, very important. Verse 13, 1 Corinthians 13:13. Please don't miss it. Go back home and meditate on it. It says, so now faith, hope, and love abide. These three, but the greatest of these is love. Why does the Bible say faith, hope, and love? Yes, they are there, but the greatest is love. It's because faith, God is not faith. No. Hope, God is not hope. But when you come to love, God is love. So that's why the greatest is love. Why? Because love is a nature of God. Is an attribute of God. If you want to be godly, you have to be loving. The greatest is love. Practice love and you will be holy. May the Lord bless you. We meet again on another episode. I'm Dr. Arthur